Maria's hands trembled as she counted the crumpled bills one more time. $17.43. That was all that stood between her and complete financial ruin. The eviction notice on her apartment's door felt like a death sentence, and her 8-year-old daughter Sophia's innocent questions about why they couldn't afford new school shoes anymore pierced her heart deeper than any blade could. Yet, as she walked past the old man huddled in the doorway of the closed bakery on her way to work, something inside her refused to look away. The elderly gentleman sat there every morning, his weathered face etched with lines that spoke of decades of hardship. His clothes, once probably dignified, now hung loose on his frail frame. But it was his eyes that haunted Maria. They held the same desperate hunger she recognized in her own reflection, the same quiet dignity she wore like armor to hide her family's struggles from the world. "Excuse me, sir," Maria found herself saying, her voice barely above a whisper. The man looked up, startled, as if he hadn't been truly seen in months. His cloudy blue eyes searched her face with a mixture of hope and weariness. "I'm sorry to bother you," she continued, her heart pounding. "But when did you last have a proper meal?" The question hung in the morning air like a prayer. The man's lips quivered, and for a moment, Maria thought he might cry. "3 days, miss. Maybe 4. Time gets fuzzy when your stomach's this empty." Without another word, Maria walked into the corner deli, her mind racing. $17 could buy Sophia's lunch for the next 2 days. It could go toward the electric bill that was already past due. It could be the difference between having gas money to get to work or walking the 6 miles in worn-out shoes. But as she looked back at the old man through the window, she knew none of that mattered. "2 breakfast sandwiches, please," she told the clerk, adding a container of soup and a bottle of water to her order. $16.89. She handed over nearly everything she had, keeping only the loose change for the bus fare home. The man's eyes widened in disbelief when she returned with a warm bag. "For me?" he whispered, his voice cracking. "Everyone deserves kindness," Maria replied, settling down beside him on the cold concrete. "I'm Maria." "What's your name?" "Robert," he said, tears streaming down his cheeks as he unwrapped the sandwich with shaking hands. "Robert Williams. I can't remember the last time someone—" He couldn't finish the sentence. As Robert ate, he shared fragments of his story. A proud man who'd worked construction for 40 years. He'd lost everything after a workplace injury and mounting medical bills. His family had scattered, ashamed of his circumstances. The streets had become his home, and invisibility his constant companion. Maria listened, sharing her own struggles of the recent divorce, the 2 jobs that barely kept them afloat, the constant fear of failing her daughter. 2 broken souls finding solace in each other's company, if only for a moment. "You have a beautiful heart, Maria," Robert said as she prepared to leave for work. "Your daughter is lucky to have a mother who understands what real strength looks like." Their brief encounter became a daily ritual. Each morning, Maria would stop by with whatever she could spare, sometimes just a cup of coffee and a kind word, other times sharing her own meager lunch. Robert began to look forward to her visits, and slowly, the hollow look in his eyes started to fade. 3 weeks into their friendship, everything changed. Maria was running late for her evening shift at the diner when she heard the commotion. A small crowd had gathered around Robert, and her heart lurched with fear. Pushing through the people, she found him on the ground, unconscious and barely breathing. "Someone call 911. She screamed, dropping to her knees beside him. She held his frail hand as paramedics arrived, and despite the protests about not being family, She refused to leave his side. At the hospital, Maria paced the waiting room floors she couldn't afford, her mind spinning with worry. Robert had become more than just someone she helped. He was her friend, her reminder that compassion existed even in the darkest moments. Hours passed before a doctor emerged with news. Robert was stable but severely malnourished and suffering from pneumonia. "He's asking for Maria," the doctor said, looking around the empty waiting room. "That's me," she whispered. In the sterile hospital room, Robert's hand found hers. "Thank you," he breathed, "for seeing me, for reminding me that I'm still human." Just then, the door burst open. A man in an expensive suit rushed in, his face a mixture of panic and relief. He was tall, well-dressed, with the same piercing blue eyes as Robert. Behind him followed what appeared to be a team of assistants and medical professionals. "Dad!" the man cried, rushing to Robert's bedside. "Oh God, Dad, I've been looking for you everywhere." Maria stepped back, confused and overwhelmed. The man turned to her, his eyes filled with gratitude and something else, recognition. "You're Maria, aren't you?" he said softly. "Dad's talked about you non-stop since he's been conscious." "I'm Michael Williams, his son." The name hit Maria like a thunderbolt. Michael Williams, the CEO of Williams Construction, the company whose buildings dotted the city skyline, the man whose face graced business magazines and whose philanthropic efforts were legendary. "I don't understand," Maria stammered. "Robert never mentioned, because I failed him," Michael said, his voice breaking. "After Mum died, Dad became distant. When he got hurt and too proud to ask for help, I was too busy building my empire to notice he was falling apart. By the time I realized what was happening, he'd disappeared. I've had private investigators searching for months." Michael turned to face Maria fully, and she saw tears in his eyes. "But you did what I couldn't. You saw him. You treated him with dignity. You saved his life." "I just gave him a sandwich," Maria protested weakly. "You gave him hope," Robert whispered from the bed. "You gave him back his humanity." What happened next would change Maria's life forever. Michael insisted on covering all of Robert's medical expenses and arranged for him to receive the best care available. But his gratitude extended far beyond his father. "You have a daughter, right?" Michael asked during one of their conversations. "Sophia." Maria nodded, wondering how he knew. "Dad tells me she needs new shoes for school, and that you've been working 2 jobs just to keep your heads above water." Michael paused, choosing his words carefully. "My company has been looking for someone to head our new community outreach program. Someone who understands what it means to struggle, who has genuine compassion for others. The salary is $75,000 a year, full benefits, and there's housing assistance available." Maria's world tilted. I don't have experience in corporate air." "You have something more valuable," Michael interrupted. "You have heart. You have the ability to see people that others walk past. That's exactly what this position needs." 6 months later, Maria sat in her new office, looking out at the city she was helping transform. The community outreach program had already housed 37 homeless individuals and provided job training for dozens more. Robert lived in a comfortable assisted living facility but visited the office weekly, sharing meals with Maria and helping identify people who needed assistance. Sophia had new shoes. In fact, she had everything she needed and more. But more importantly, she had a mother who learned that kindness, even when you have little to give, creates ripples that can change the world. On quiet evenings, Maria would think about that morning when she had $17.43 and chose to give it all away to a stranger. She thought she was helping an old man find a meal, but instead, She discovered that sometimes the smallest acts of kindness can unlock the most extraordinary transformations. Robert was right. Everyone deserves kindness. But what Maria learned was that the person who gives it often receives the greatest gift of all, the reminder that we're all connected, all deserving of compassion, all capable of changing someone's life with a simple gesture of human decency. The old bakery doorway where they first met now housed a small memorial plaque that read, "In a world where you can be anything, be kind." It was Robert's idea, and Maria's daily reminder that love multiplied is never diminished, and that seeing others with our hearts instead of our eyes can create miracles we never imagined possible.